Hello there, and welcome to my little, or not so little, arty corner of YouTube. It's growing little by little. Thank you ever so much to all of you who've subscribed. I'm now just over 840 subscribers, which amazes me. And it'd be lovely if I could get up to 1,000, but we'll see. Nice round number, and then see what happens beyond. But that's not the be all and end all, because I know the people who will find some benefit from visiting my channel will find it and will take away what they can from it. And sometimes taking away something that you need that's not how I do it, but I like the way I do it, and that's perfectly fine by me. Expressing yourself, finding your own way of self-expression is something that's near and dear to my own heart, and the same for everybody else. So thank you so much for that, and thank you for the comments. I haven't got back to them yet. I will do once this video's uploading and doing what it does. And for all the likes and shares and shout outs as well. Thank you. I appreciate it all more than you can know. So what you can see in front of you, oh, and I hope you're all doing okay. I'm not too good today, which is a shame because I wanted to get a pile of work done and I just couldn't get out of bed until, oh gosh, it must have been about 10:30. And I've had something to eat and that's only made me feel worse. So fingers crossed, I'm fine. I'll be fine. I suspect it's just a day where I just have to accept that I'm not going to get anything done today and not push it. So, but that's fine. It's okay. We have days like that, don't we? I suspect I know what it is and there's nothing much I can do about it. It's not a bug or anything. Hormones probably. But it's okay. Right, so with no further ado, let me go back to what we've got in front of us. Now I've got that out of the way. I've got that off my chest. Off my stomach would be lovely, but off my chest is fine. So yesterday and early this morning when I woke up, not feeling too grand and before I could settle back to sleep, I've been trying this idea out and I realised it sort of links back to the little motifs in boxes I was doing with you in the last couple of videos. I'll try to remember to put links to them in the description box, but don't hold me to that, okay? So my brain is not fully functioning today. But I sat down and it might have been something I'd seen. I know I particularly like a lady called Rebecca Blair. I've seen a lot of her work on Pinterest. I don't know if she's on Instagram or whatever. I need to have a look. But I just love the way she does her journaling and, you know, her artwork is just amazing. And it's very simple and she uses quite a limited number of patterns and textures and so on. But everyone looks different. It's her style. And I think we can all take something from that, is that I have a tendency to go wild with the number of patterns and things I'll use rather than keeping it fairly simple. And I do tend to get terribly complicated and note what you can see in front of you. But this idea of splitting, in this case, this is the first one I did. And I'm not so happy with my choice of colours because me and colours, yeah, what can I say? I think the biggest problem is here perhaps, is that I wish I hadn't added colour to that panel, but it is what it is. Was of separating a card shape into sections and putting something different in each section. Yesterday I did sort of like some Tangle Patterns. I think that's Flukes, Diva Dance. I don't know what that one's called, even if it has a name, but it's arches with dots in. And then we've got, it's just some textural patterns, some cross hatching going on there. And some leafy fronds with heart-shaped, well, pairs of leaves that form little hearts. And I like this idea. It's almost like a sampler of patterns and motifs, but also an opportunity for me to practice my hand lettering. So this morning I thought I'd have another go because I wasn't happy with my spacing of Anam Cara. Anam Cara is Gaelic, and if you can read what it says on the screen, if you can read my hand lettering, your Anam Cara is a person with whom you can share your deepest thoughts, feelings and dreams. You can share them with and dreams with. I've missed the with out here. See? I told you I'm not feeling quite right. But they're your soul friend. And I have somebody like that. I'm really lucky. So I can relate to that. And I just thought, oh, what a lovely way to describe them. they're actually, you know, we've actually adopted each other as siblings, so, which is nice. So I guess adopted siblings are soul friends. But I thought I'd have another go, and I've used various Tangle patterns. I think this one is NYX. I could be wrong there. This one's definitely between deviantArt's Rock and Roll. I'm not sure what the name of this one is, but I do like it. It's like little leaves or little flowers in a chain there. I can't remember the name of that one, and that's just a triangles with just patterns in. And here's one of my leaves from the other day. In fact, with that one, I think I want to thicken the stem a little bit because it looks a bit spindly, and I'd rather like to have a slightly thicker stem, at least on the bottom. The other thing that I did was I realised when I was filling this one in today, is that I had left gaps between the boxes, and then I filled them in with black marker. And then I went, Angela, why don't you draw the black lines in first? Because what I'm doing is what I did here is it neatens up all those raggedy edges that you can sometimes get when you're not being very careful with a pen. So, but it gives a very distinct separation between the boxes, but I still wanted that white line between them. So I'm just using a white gel pen just to draw that in. And sometimes the gel pen skips and gets thicker or thinner, depending on how heavy-handed I am or how grungy and icky the nib, you know, the ball end is, the nib. And I'm fine with that because it's got that feeling of, well, it's, oh gosh, that I'm not fine with that one, but you know what I say about gel pen? Or any little mistakes like that, we can always fix it. And with white on black, it's easy to fix. This one's a bit more challenging here because the black line is a bit narrower. But I do like it. And I'm so tempted to see if I can find some gold cards to mount it on. So you have just a sliver of gold peeking out around the edge. Something like that would be quite nice. Although no doubt I could achieve that with some gold ink and a brush or a pen or a piece of foam. So I've started adding some colour here. I was thinking of using sort of blue greys or shades of blue greys, especially here, because I want to bring out, in here, I want to bring out that depth that's there. So my thinking is, I'm not going to do this on camera, but I'll just go through my thinking. So I want to start with my darkest shades of blue here, slightly lighter, and the lightest on the top, and work my way down that way so that the lightest ones pop up, and the darkest ones sink back, so you increase that contrast. No doubt I'll use some shadows to put contrast in, you know, on the edges perhaps, and where these little creases are. I do like this pattern. The between, I'm going to make sure that these parts have got shadow and the inside bits are left in highlight, I think. deviantArt's, well, it's overlapping, and the actual box itself will need shadowing and others. And this one the same, as I want darker coloured background, but I didn't want to make it black. And then perhaps some colour for those. But I don't know yet. This one I'm just simply going to add shadow around the edge, and I happen to have the pens I was using out, and so I just want to put that hint of a shadow right the way around the edge of this, but leave the centre just plain white. Now, I did this here because I didn't use marker paper for the original one. This is a piece of paper out of a sketchbook. I think it's an Artwyrd one. And I actually like that paper. It's very smooth and it works really nicely with alcohol markers, believe it or not. And I think that, you know, it's nice in a sketchbook for that. But marker paper is specifically for markers. And you can see how little bleeding through there is on that. And on this one, there is some bleed through, but there's not a huge amount even then. So, not that it's important if you're not going to want to draw on the back. I never do on things like this. But it's interesting. So, what I thought I'd do today is let's get one of these set up and let's have a look at a couple of patterns and just do some drawing, and I might do some chatting, and we'll just see what happens. It's just one of those days where I want to do art, but I want to do some art without any high pressure. I'm just using my ruler here. I'm not using the boards at the back, though I could if you want me to. Let me have a look. If I line this up, so these are in inches, which will please my American cousins or our American friends. So about 3 inches wide, and I'm going to turn it the other way so that I can, if I put it up against that, perhaps a little bit below that, so I've got a bit of a border going on. That is roughly, is it? Yeah, that's roughly square to them. So I've got a bit, I'll put my border there, and I'll line it up then again with the background so I can measure the squares. The other side of this cutting mat is in centimetres. So I've got 3 inches, so 1, 2, 3, 4, that would be 3 by 4, which is quite a nice size and shape. If I went to 3 by 5, it's a bit longer, so I think 3 by 4 looks about right. So let me just line that up, and that's fine. So what I'm going to do then is, because I want some boxes, I'm going to use my pencil just to draw some lines in. I'm going to keep one big box. I'm going to make one big box, I think, to the top left, because I will want to, no doubt, do some hand lettering in it. I'm going to divide this one underneath. I'm hopefully getting this square, so I'm using my ruler. But eyeballing is fine, and I will pop. I think I'll have this one. I'll have this one going down. I think I'll do one like a border at the bottom on the slant. But I think I'm going to divide this box into 2, and perhaps this one into 2 like that. Now along the side I want to divide this, but I don't want the lines to meet, I don't think, because I'm going to get myself into all kinds of trouble with this no matter what I do. Okie dokes, and I happen to have here a black marker, because what I realised was leaving gaps here is fine and well, but if I'm going to, I might as well colour it in black and then use a white gel pen, and then I don't have to be so finicky, or quite so finicky, about colouring them in. Now I do have here something that comes with some sets of markers. It's like a silicone sheet, a soft flexible plastic sheet you can put under your paper, so if there is any bleed through, it doesn't go through onto your surface underneath, whether it's paper, your table or whatever. But a sheet of scrap paper would work just as well. But I quite like using this because, well, it comes and it's rude not to use it. So I'm just going to draw freehand along these lines. Yeah, I am going to, oh heck, you know what I've done? I didn't want to go through this section here, but it is what it is now, and I will work with that. So what I'm going to do with these is that I'm going to do this one here, but I'm not going to do that one, so I'll get a bigger box there. So this will end up a bit like a sampler for patterns and motifs, but almost like stained glass window as well, depending on the colours you choose to colour things in with, or how you add colour. If you choose to add colour, you may choose not to. So I suppose if we're talking in Zentangle terms, this is a different kind of a string. It's a kind of a string, I suppose, but it's a bit more structured and deliberate than perhaps the strings they use. And of course, I've never had any success using Zentangle strings. I've tried it, and no matter what I do, it just does not compute in my head. Whereas here, I think it's because I have this love of little boxes. and things in boxes or in distinct shapes. Even when I do a colouring sheet, I like an edge to where I'm creating, you know, a distinct ink edge, whether it's a, you know, a single black line or whether there's a border there of some kinds. So all I'm doing here is I'm just going back and I'm thickening these lines a little because I'll want them thick enough to run a white gel pen through after I've added colour. And this is the important thing, is that it doesn't matter if you put the gel pen down now or whether you leave it until the end. But I just think if I make a mistake, then I don't have to worry about smudging the white gel ink or getting colour on it or whatever. And I know you can always correct it, but it's better to do, I find it's better if I don't have to do that because I get frustrated with myself. Oh God. Let's try and draw this so it's at least looks vaguely straight. Is it consistent in thickness? It's not going to make much of a difference, but it's me saying I'm not aiming for perfection here, but I am in a way. Now what I could do if I wanted to, now I've seen this, is I could actually put draw borders inside with the pen, and I might try that actually and see what difference it makes compared to the other. I've taken this page out of my sketchbook, as you can see from the edge, and I like, I'll just put it back in as if it's a disc bound journal, and they stay in there. If I'm working in the sketchbook, I tend to use a big bulldoggy clip, paper, you know, the paper clips like this to hold, can you see there, to hold the pages together so the ones that are like this don't move around and come out and get mucked up. But that's true for all of them, so I tend to do that. Okay, and that's in ones that are ring bound. If they've got a hard bound, you know, sort of like you know, like a proper book, then I don't need to do that really, except sometimes the pages don't sit flat. So you need to find a way to keep them flat. And a big clip works for me. I can move it around, and the back, on those they're great because the bits you clip, you know, you press to open it, will fold flat and out the way, which is perfect. Okay, let's have a look here. I have got two pens out. I've got an 03 and an 01. So let's have a look. I'll start here, and I will give myself that inside, like a frame within a frame. And this will be interesting because it'll be nice to compare this and see which ones I prefer. I got a sneaky suspicion I'm going to prefer this one, but you never know until you try. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to load up tanglepatterns.com, which will take me seconds, hopefully. Got it. And let's have a look at, let's get some tangle patterns here. I like inspiration for things because I can be a bit dippy at times. But I think here, what I would like to do here is I think we'll pop in this one. Shall I? I think I will. Shall I? Yes, I will. I'm going to draw a mushroom in here because you know I love mushrooms, and I'll zoom in, hopefully. No, wrong one. There we go, so you can see what I'm doing. In fact, that might be a good idea is if I increase the exposure, because that might make this a bit brighter for you. There we go. So there's my stem of my little mushroom and my fungi. I'm going to give it a cap like that. It looks like it's going off in this direction, so I'm going to start by bending it out, but I'm going to give it a little pointy top. Because I think in my little world, I'd rather like mushrooms with pointy tops today. But not all mushrooms are shaped like this. fact, I'm not into... Yes, there are mushrooms that are shaped like this for real. No border here because I'm drawing very small. And often I put a little border inside there, but I'll just put the gills straight there. And I think we can have another little one here that grows off this one. And if I'm really, really careful here, some of my lines wrong there. We may even be able to have a third growing here from the same kind of stem, but I'm going to make it very weeny and a little baby one that hasn't opened up yet. Maybe not my best drawings, but you know, it is what it is. And I think just here I'm going to put some little is that fescue? I think it's a tangle pattern called fescue. Just these little lines here. Okay, so I've got that. Down here, I just love Diva Dance. I can't get away from Diva Dance. And here I did it horizontally. In my other one, I've done rock and roll. I don't like the foxtrot version, I do have to say that. But I think I'll do it vertically in this section. And I'm going to make my darker blobs quite thick and heavy here, because I like what I've done here, where I've put little white dots in them. I like the extra texture it adds. So today you could see me drawing some of my go-to patterns. But no, I didn't put a box around this, you know, the inner frame. I'm going to do something with that inner frame, actually. I'm not happy with it. I said it was an experiment to see whether I liked it or not. I'm not entirely sure I am, but oh God. No control over my muscles today, apparently. At least the sun's shining, which is a good thing. And with this one, I am tending to do two. Sort of like I'm doing, not in all cases, but I'm trying to remember to do like a line that has the thicker parts on it, the blobs, for want of a better word, and then two lines, and then it's on that second line I'll add another one of these black areas, and then again, so I'm getting some separation between them. Normally I do these on every single line, you see, so I'm trying new things out. I do tend to go very heavy-handed with the black. I like the high contrast. There, I forgot, you see, I was talking, engrossed in what I was saying, actually paying attention to what I was saying. And then suddenly, that happens. So let's deliberately change how I do this. So I've got two lines between. The areas with black in. So that's another way of lightening this up. So I've started with quite dark and dense, and these, by using lines and perhaps having them a little bit wider, we can vary the density of ink on the page and help to create perhaps illusions of light and shadow, and perhaps even some kind of dimensionality here. I don't know. Just see, because I'll go back to perhaps putting just a couple of lines here. I'll have a big area of black, and I'm putting the lines closer together and going back to light, you know, black on every line here. and the aura's very close together, so got a lot of ink going on there. So does that give us any kind of feeling of, these do feel they're further away and farther apart. I can't see the illusion at the moment, so even though I'm looking at my computer screen. But I'm sure that shadow and highlight and what have you will help to bring that out. But I do like a bit of diva dance. This one I'm going to do black and white boxes, because they're cute and it adds that hint of, I suppose, whimsy here. I don't know why it just doesn't feel right to have that space. Perhaps I haven't given it long enough or completed the whole section here to know for sure. But as you know, I sort of like, I'm dipping back into textile work, and I've been watching stuff to do with slow stitching from time to time, but I prefer to explore and experiment myself. But this morning, as I was settling down to try to get back to sleep, I was watching a video, and or was it last night? It might have been last night. Anyway, sometime not long ago, as in within the last 24 hours or so, I watched a video. I can't remember the name of the person, but she's a textile artist, and she did sort of like a picture that you could hang on the wall, made with a collage of scraps of fabric, and they were sewn together, and then she used this water soluble sort of like film, or it's called stabilizing fabric or stabilizing medium, something like that, but you can draw on it. And then she stitched with a sewing machine the design of this flower. It was a lupin, and then removed all the remains of all of this film that she'd used, apart from some in the, you know, some you could tear off gently, others you could spray with water and iron it with, which I didn't know this, you iron it with some kitchen towel, and the kitchen towel picks up what's left there, and you do it a couple of times and you get rid of the water soluble film. And I just thought, oh, I could draw on that. I could use drawings then. So guess what I'm going to be ordering later on? Oh yeah, I know. I do have issues with things at times, but I do enjoy that, and I just thought that could be a fun way to get art onto paper. So this one, I am going to one of my favourite patterns, which is shaddock. Always sounds like, you say shaddock, it sounds like you are telling a duck off. But that's just me. So I am drawing these sort of like as fan shapes. I could have done a better job of this, because I've only just realised that that's how this works, isn't it? So we'll have ones going this way and perhaps down there, and like that. Not the best shaddock I've ever drawn, but it is what it is, and we'll work with it. I think I want to make these areas black, the apex of each of these, and it just draws attention to those then. And as soon as you do that, those dividing lines almost disappear, don't they? And that would be black there, I think. So there's just a little hint of that there. I really quite like doing this. This is quite fun. Okay, so I said I'm going to leave that because I want to do some hand lettering there. Possibly, probably. All right, what other patterns can we do? I really enjoyed creating this pattern, and I think I'll do it in a different way. So I'm going to start here, and the way I start this one, I'll try and remember and look the name of it up and drop that in the description box, but again I can't remember. I start by drawing the diamond pattern. I think in the deconstruction I was looking at, you start by drawing the lines and you put this in afterwards. I just find it easier to place this. And then you aura around this, but the lines don't meet, so you leave a gap between them. God blimey, something heavy's come through my letterbox. No idea what that could be. I shall look later. So like that, so we end up with this, and then you just continue auraing until you're happy with how the width of it. Now I'm going to take mine right up to the border there. Again, I'm trying to keep the auras fairly equidistant, but I'm not too bothered if they're not. I think I'll just add another one here, though there's two on the other side, just so it feels a bit more centralised in terms of the lines. And then I'm just going to choose somewhere else to pop one of these. And I think on this one I might get complicated and do two of them. You can get them as close to the other one as you like, or further apart, or just that's where it's going and that's it. You can make choices, or just, you know, conscious choices, or just work that little bit on the... So with these I'm going to find it easier if I draw the aura around those first and leave that gap. And then I can, ooh, look at that. It just touches. Just touched the point there. That wasn't intended. I didn't know that was going to happen. But it's quite nice that it did, because it's going to, the lines on this side, the aura lines we do on this side, are going to go almost straight away underneath this one, which gives it that kind of already the layered appearance. Just pop another one in there, because all my lines are a bit wobbly and wonky today. Everything's a bit wobbly and wonky generally with me. But I'll just carry on doing this. But I think it's such a lovely pattern. Okay. Just looking at the time, because I'm conscious that, you know, it might be nice to show you some other stuff, but I'm determined to fill this panel in, because I know that if I do it now, then things will just work nicely together. And I can see how me adding these thick lines here means that I can start drawing these lines in those black areas. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sneak half one here, and I'm going to start adding that one in on this side, like so. And then I've basically got straight lines going here. I could have snuck one in here in this gap, I think, but I chose not to. I keep it easy, simple. So mine are quite spread out. You can get a lot more in the same kind of space, but I just thought it would be nice to just spread them out. Okay, I do want something that's botanical going on here. I've got these here. I've got the rounded leaves on this one. I don't know if you can see because I'm still zoomed in, aren't I? So if I zoom out, and I've got a screen above me, yeah. So I've got heart-shaped leaves going on down here. I've got the rounded ones here. So I think I'd like some I think I'm going to put some branches in here. And perhaps I'm just going to... Actually, these are looking more like lavender stems. You know how lavender, you get all these little flower, or, you know, little hard flower or seeds on them. So that'll look nice, and I'll pop perhaps a single leaf at the bottom. I'm going to draw one that goes perhaps up this way. If I don't like the shape of it or the arrangement, I know I can always do something later on, or you just live with it. This is where a pencil comes in useful. Because once you've committed yourself with a pen, that's it really. And then I do want another one that will bend this way and perhaps be shorter than the other two. And that works a bit nicer now. Threes are always a harmonious combination of numbers. So I've got space there for a leaf and one there. And I will get my O1. All my drawing I've done today has been with the O3. But I have an O1 there, so I can use that. So I've got some botanical stuff going on there. Okay, so what other things could we pop in here? I do love, you see, I love Well, but I also love Huggins, or Huggins Cadent as well, I think it is. So perhaps I'll pop some Huggins in here. So I'm going to not put the starting circles right on the edge. What I'm going to do is I think I'm going to give myself a bit of a border for them, but have them running out as if we've got a piece of fabric trapped here. So perhaps I'll just pop 3 circles along the sides and one in the middle, and that will be the basis. I think I'll do Huggins. So Huggins is, you join the circles in this kind of way. I'll zoom in for you. There we go. So a letter C shape or curve, then in the opposite direction, and then these ones on the end, they always go opposite, don't they? So on this side, this one bows upwards, so this one needs to bow downwards. And once we've worked that out, the rest of it's easy enough to do. So this goes down, so on this one, we go up, up, down. So this one bows down, so underneath it we want one that bows upward. Down, down, up, down, like that. These ones have gone off the edge, these ones could have. I'll turn it to the side because then we need to connect these, and I'm going to go this way, and this way. You always end up making these sort of like, I don't know what kinds of shapes they are in the middle, but here we could either carry on going round this way, but that would mean that we'd cross all of these lines. So our line here must go this way and this way. That's the way to work it out. Once you've worked out the first one, is do I go upwards? No. Do I go downwards? No. So I must go this way. And to go over that way wouldn't be right either. I think the more you work with this pattern, the easier it is to do, but it is one of my favourites. I don't know why. It's just the lovely woven texture we get, and the opportunity for adding embellishment inside. You can see that I've made all of these flow right up to the edge of this box as if we've got this framed, and it'll look even more like a frame once I put a white line in. So my first job to do here is I do like to aura the longest edges. So it's auraing the lines we drew. So I'll do these first, the ones that are horizontal. and I'm using an 01 for this rather than the 03 I used to draw the lines. And I've got this one there to do, so I'm just checking that I've done all the horizontal ones. I think I have, but sometimes it's easier to pick them up when you've done all of the others, and suddenly you'll notice, so if I turn my paper to the side, I'm doing all the horizontal lines again. Every now and again I might notice I haven't quite joined lines up, so I will just go back and touch things up a little bit. Here and there. And that is basically Huggins. But I always like, this is my favourite variation and I go to it every single time where I can, is that I put little triangles at the base of these curves, like so. There is just something about it that just, I don't know. I think it's the appearance that we got something disappearing underneath. It helps with the illusion of weaving under and over. Okay, and here we'll have little half ones on the edge. But there is just something so, I don't know. Sometimes we like things just because we like them. And this is why I have go-to patterns, I think. That one needs that going there. Okay, so we do the same on the side. Now you could do a completely different kind of pattern to the ribbons, because they do look a bit like ribbons that weave in and out from side to side if you wished. There's nothing that says that you have to do exactly the same here as I've done. You know, where I've made the patterns the same. I could have chosen to do something completely different here. In some places we might only just get that outer line of these in. So I think that's it all. So that's quite nice. Sometimes I like to join these with a line as well. Perhaps I'll do that. Put a dot, break the line and put a dot in the middle. Those ones, I think they'll just go up to the edge. So let's do that. And we'll do the horizontal ones then. Oh, that one's they're just going to join together because I just, there. So that just increases it. It does something for me. It just does. So there we are. So we've got all of these. So let's have a look at, because how long is it? 42 minutes. So shall I? Yeah, I'll fill the other 2 boxes in. Let's do that and be done with that. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. Okay, let's have a look. This is a pattern I haven't done for ages, and it's come up in the random sort of selection on Tangle Patterns. It's called Allium, A-L-L-I-U-M, and I do like this one. And it starts with a leaf shape. I'm going to draw a line in like this. And then you put another leaf shape in somewhere. And again, you draw the line in. And with these, you can actually aura these and get them to weave in and out as well. But the nicest thing about this is what you do inside of these. I haven't drawn it for a long time, so I may be drawing this wrong, but that's fine. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the line in the middle, and I'm going to draw auras of that leaf shape, but I'm going to colour in the alternate ones in black. So it's a good idea to draw the leaves perhaps a bit bigger than I've done, so you can get more auras in. But just by adding that black, you start to have interesting things happening. Possibly. I think so. And of course we can have ones that This one would have an aura like that perhaps. So we've got one here as well. Fill that in. In fact, I think I might fill the whole of the centre in because it's such a small space. And then we can draw another one in here, and I'm going to make this one nice and big. And you don't have to do the outer auras. I think in the pattern there aren't outer auras. So I'm just doing the centre black and the next one out black. I don't think I've done, oh gosh, I really haven't done a good job there. And this one here. And I think I will carry on with a single aura, perhaps a series of auras around the outside. And I'll just weave these. I'll go back to this one and add another one there. And then I'll add another one here. And so on and so forth. Until we've got no space left. And I find it quite an interesting pattern to work with. So I'm going to add it like that. Put the lines in that anchor it top and bottom. And I can start to add that aura. And weave this one in as well then. To remember which one I'm doing. Sometimes it's easiest to work on one section at a time where you don't have too many overlapping. So that's quite nice. I've got a lot of very dense patterns here. So I think here I'd rather like something that isn't quite so dense. And I think I'm going to pop in some flowers. So I'm just drawing a circle, 4 lines, and then I'm going to draw some rounded petals around it. And I'm just going to space them out so there's space between them, so I've got a less black and intense pattern. And this one here I think is going to end up spilling outside of the section, which is fine. I'm not going to try and draw any more. I know there's only 4, but perhaps I can just pop the suggestion of one in here and just have that. That works for me. So I've got all of my sections done. So what about starting to add some colour or shadows to these? Okay. Just going to do that. Just to check I didn't have any pencil in there because I can't remember where I used pencil and didn't. That is messy looking, so I think I'm going to go back and I'm going to fill all of the centres in with black. But I can come back with a black gel pen. Black gel pen? Let's try a white gel pen and perhaps add something to that to break that black up. Okay, so I really enjoyed the look of these blue greys here. They're called blue grey, but they're just really nice soft blues on this. So I think I may use that in some places here and try to keep things nice and simple. Actually, no, I won't. There you go. I want some greys, I think, for this. I'm going to leave this black and grey. So I'm looking for the colours that I would like. I think I'd like a cool grey. So I'm looking for cool grey 43. Yeah, and I want a 81's not too, 82, 83. There's not much of a difference between them, but I think the 82 would be better. I'm talking to myself because this is what I do. Okay, so I'm going to use the darkest grey first, because this is where I'm going to put the darkest shadows. So I'm going to pop some shadow underneath the bottom and the left. Actually, I can't do left, so we're going to have to do all the way around the right-hand side, I think, to lift these sections up, which is fine. I can do that. And I've got bullet-tipped alcohol markers to do this with, because I know that they work the best for me. Brush tips are great if I've got big areas to fill in and I don't need to have that kind of precision, but here I do, and I'm going to add some shadow along. Actually, I will add shadow right the way along this side, and I'm also going to put shadow at the top of this box, just to let everything kind of head backwards. I'm going to use the lightest grey just to go along the edge of this, just to overlap a little bit in all of these lines, because what that will do is it will help to soften the edge of the darker grey, but extend the shadow that little bit more. So I am mirroring, echoing the shape of the shadow line there. Yeah, I'm going to take it all the way up to the edge so that I've got this happening. And already you can see what a difference that is making. Now I want a lighter grey than this one, because I do want to put some shadows in these almost like creases. So I'm going to go and find, I do want that a cool grey. Which number was that? That was 43. So let's see if I can find 42. There's a good chance I will. Excellent. And then I'm looking at these just to pop some shadow, joining the points together and just perhaps flicking it out a little bit to either side, just to give some shadow in these sections as well. And that will be on both sides. And we've got these ones as well in the middle, so just going to join those at the moment. Can't really do that one. That one's all in shadow, so I think I've got all of those, but I do want to soften those, so I'm going to find my colourless blender and just draw along the edges of those shadows with it, because that will help that grey ink just to spread out that little bit and soften. If you like harsh edges, don't do this. You know, I say harsh, they're really solid edges. I just like to soften them up that little bit so they blend out that bit more. The shadows do have a slightly fuzzy edge, depending on how bright the light is shining. Very bright light will give you shadows, very clear, distinct shadows. So that works quite nicely for me. I like that. Okay, so those were cool greys. So what about if I go for a warmer grey, perhaps, or warmer colours? I think warmer colours would be nicer for, I think I want to do these in a warmer colour, perhaps. So I'm having a look at my cards here. Okay. I have powder pink. I've got something called a cream colour here. The names of these markers are bizarre. And I may want something that's a honey. Would be a good one, if I can find it. And I have to say the honey is nothing like honey at all. Unable to find that at the moment, so I may have to choose a different kind of colour. This is the problem when you've got a stupid number of markers and there's no way of ordering them in number. Ah, there it is, honey. There we go. So let's have a look at this. So for this one, I'm going to leave a white highlight in the centre, but I'll do each one of these individually. So I'm going up towards the centre with the lightest colour. So I am colouring the whole section in with the lightest colour. Then I'm going to use the next darkest colour and come most probably down to just below the little V shape, perhaps, just there. And then with the honey, the darkest colour, I'm just going to add that where the shadows would be, the deepest shadows would be, so just a thin line of it there. Then I go back with the medium colour just along the edge of that darker colour, like so, just to blend that out. Then I'll use the lightest colour to blend the medium out a little bit. And check that I've got colour all the way along. And I am going to put colour, this lightest colour, in the edge. And then I'm going to use the colourless marker, the blender, which you don't use for blending, you use it more for bleaching and erasing. Like this. I'm just checking it's not going through. It's not. So I think that's okay. It's a bit brighter than I wanted, but you know, things are what they are. So if I do the two on either side, then I can, just stopping short of the little dot, but going right the way along the outside edge, so I've got that darker edge there. Then I go back with the medium colour and go about halfway down that, I guess, would be a good estimation, just to give some shadow there. And then I use the darker colour just to add the shadows underneath. I'm going to add some on the edge as well, the edge over there, because this would be in shadow. And then I can go back and add the medium colour again, just to spread the darker colour out a little bit, blend the colours in, the palest colour, which both helps to blend colours in and it also helps to bleach them out that little bit as well. And yet I am going back to the centre section there because I could see that I'd perhaps bleached it too much, and I will add just a hint of the colourless marker to bleach that out. So that will work quite nicely, I think. And I think I'll stick to these colours elsewhere. So for example, my little flowers here, they may look like lavender, but I can perhaps colour them with these. Not so easy to get the colour into these shapes, so if it goes outside the edge, I'm not going to worry too much, because I will eventually colour the background in. I could have left them white, like we did in the the sketchbook pages with rectangles in with the motifs in and so on, where we coloured the background and left the motifs, well, mainly colourless. I say mainly colourless because I did add shadow to them as well, and the shadow worked nicely with them. So with this one I am going to colour it in because I want it to look like flowers rather than just leaves. Just that hint of colour just works, and I may actually get slightly darker colour to go in the middle there than the honey. So I'm looking for a suitable colour quickly. Dark pink. Hopefully I'll find it quickly. Bet you I can't find it now. Don't be silly. Of course I can. There we go. So perhaps just at the bottom we can just put a bit more of this pinky colour just to give it that. I could have used a lavender. I think lavender would have worked okay with this. These sort of like orangey colours, but I've gone for a pinky colour because that would work. As I said, I'm trying not to get too panicked that I've gone outside the lines, because ultimately I don't think it's going to make much difference. So there we go. In fact, I might use that to just deepen those shadows a little bit. Strictly speaking, to darken shadows, you really use the colours should go more cool towards a bluey colour or a greeny colour, towards a bluer shade rather than a warmer shade, but I've gone with a warmer shade, so it'll be fine. Okay, with these here, my mushrooms, I am going to give them a blue background, and I'm going to leave them white, and I'm using my darker blue here of these of the blues, the blue greys. Like so. I'm going to get it up to the edge, and then I'll use the lighter colour to blend the edge down, colour into it because it helps to bleach out some of that colour, and then to fill to the bottom. But what I might do at the bottom as well is I may use the colourless blender just to lighten this up a little bit as well, so I get a better gradient, as it were, so that I can just add some of that, and it will just sort of bleach it a little bit, lighten it up. I can see that I need to do some more here, this edge. It means I may have to colour right into this section with the lighter blue, so that I get a better transition from one to the other, which is fine. That's okay. The thing I wanted to do with that is that I'm not going to colour the mushrooms in, so I need to give them some kind of interest and definition, so I'm going to do that with my pen. So these stripes I'm going to do in black, and rather than giving like a box shaped highlight where I can get a highlight in like this, I'm going to just flick the pen to fill the area in, so I get this raggedy kind of highlight. This is where I wish I had a finer pen again, but I don't. I'm just adding some flicks of and here I'm just adding some lines there, here the same, there. Here I'll just flick across there, and I'll add some dots, some stippling on the stem, just to give some shadow. And there, so that looks interesting. Okay, so I want to use, I shouldn't have put those greys away, should I? Okay, so where are they? Got the cool grey and the cool grey, because I'm going to try and keep to the same kind of colours for shadows and so on. There are places I know where I've added colour, like the Huggins, but really, there are places where I do want to add some shadows. So on this one, I am going to look at where I can add shadow, and it's going to be underneath these shapes, I think, and where they disappear. Where they overlap. So here, I think, down here, this side, and perhaps underneath here. Yeah, that's how it works. There we are. Well done, Angela, you worked it out eventually. I got there. And yeah, there's a lot of shadow in places because I want these places where they overlap to be in darker shadow, but I will sort that in a moment. Because that is the job of the other lighter blues. I've got a lighter blue, lighter grey. So I'm going to use that along the edge just to lighten these up, because it should do a bit of a job of lightening. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. I should have done these in this lighter colour first, but we'll get there because I also have the magic of the colourless blender wherever I've put it to help me in lightening things up and bleaching things out. So I'm not going to stress too much. It is what it is now. And any little overspills, and you can see I've got some overspills here of grey. Well, that's what white gel pens are magic for. So that'll be okay. And then I think I just want to add some shadows, top and bottom of these sections here around these leaves, like so, just so that there's some kind of shadow going on inside these. Again, I'm just adding some blending at the ends or towards the middle of these shapes, just to make sure that they blend out. Not a good job on that one, and I'll be the first to say that. I haven't done a good job there at all. Okay, on Shattuck, I'm going to put shadows underneath these shapes to bring them out, like so, and around the box as well, like so. In fact, this needs that as well, so I can do that, just to make sure that it looks like we've got things set into the space. So I'll do that. Again, I'm just using the lighter grey along the edge just to soften the edge of this, and the same with these, just to soften those shadows a little bit and to just blend them out that little bit more, which is what I've done. So we've got that one there. For Diva Dance, I am just going to put shadows all the way around this box, I think, because I want this to feel like this is almost bulging out. So I put the darker grey on, then the lighter grey next to it, draw right sort of halfway over the line or 3/4 of the way over the darker line, and then I will just come back with the lighter, the colour of the blender, just to pick that out. And that I can always go back and add, like it almost dips here, so a bit of shadow along the centre might bring that out. So let's have a look. Like so, but I've put some over here that I didn't really want in. Again, I'm just using the colourless blender along the edge to let it sort of blend out. So that's increased the resolution there. Okay, last section I'm going to do with this. I haven't finished. I know I haven't finished the flower and the Huggins. I'm not entirely sure about Huggins. Part of me wishes I had kept to the same colours that I've used all the way across, because it just doesn't, they just don't feel like they fit in. But it may, you know, I'll work on it and I'll work out how to change it. And at the end of the day, it's all learning for me, is that I know that colour is not my best skill. I try. I do try. And some people may argue with me and say there's nothing wrong with my colouring. And I'll go, yes, there is. It's not the colouring skills I've got, it's my choice of colours. And I should really stick to monochrome or just a couple of colours, really. It's when it looks the best. When you want things to appear coherent anyway. So I've got some flowers there. I am going to use this, I don't want to use the blue grey, but I do want to use the grey on my, actually, yes, no, I will use the grey on the mushrooms. Because I was just thinking, oh, Angela, you could pop. You've got mushroom colour. You know, that you could use. And I'm going, nope. Nope, it's not happening. I'm not doing it. And perhaps just a bit of shadow underneath them, like a drop shadow, perhaps just to lift them off the background a little bit. And I can do the same with my flowers actually. So we'll do the drop shadows to the left and bottom of these. And yet I'm doing them over the darker blue at the top because they will show up, because you can glaze markers. So if you want a slightly darker version or a more saturated version of the same colour, a subtle difference, you can just, once it's dry, go over the top again. You lay down more of the colour. So we've got that. And I'm tempted to just add some blues, perhaps into these in places, just to add some, perhaps that hint of something, a little bit of colour going on here. Keep the last one white, and then I can go with the darker blue perhaps and do that just there next to the black sections, just to, that starts to tie everything together, doesn't it? It's by using that colour. See, the same, I could do the same with, actually, that might be how I can, ooh, wrong side, tie this in. So I'm going to add the blue around there and in the auras that bound it, go around it. And in that way I'm getting that blue that joins everything together. Yeah, something cohesive. So let me just do that, and then, oh good gosh, I didn't realise I've been here for over an hour. But I will finish in a moment, as much as I'm going to do here. This is the only thing that I'm not happy with, and part of me thinks, oh, I need to cut it out and replace it, or put something over the top of it, which is always a possibility. I just need some very pale greeny colour. Looking for a pale greeny colour. I haven't got any really pale greens. It's really disappointing, actually. It's probably, oddly, porcelain blue is a green. These are Ohuhus. Actually, let's go for the, yeah, there's the porcelain blue, found it. I'm sure it's translation from, most probably Chinese into English. They don't quite, oh, it may not be, I don't know. So a soft green there. Now I wish I'd used soft green on this one, because I think the soft green would look much nicer than this, because this doesn't really match that. But it is what it is. And the very last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start adding in, around the finished sections, the white gel pen line. And I think this is what will make things look I don't know. It's just that white line just breaks that black up, gives the borders, but there's just something so nice about it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I rather like it. So let's carry on and just quickly do these. Go on, you can draw. the gel pen's having a hissy fit. They do that from time to time. They just need the ball cleaning off, really. But I quite like the effect I'm getting on this, so we're hanging on to it. So just a little bit left to do, and I will zoom out for this as well. Have I zoomed out? I'm not sure. I must have. So we're getting there. Like so. And then there's a couple of other little things I wanted to do with the gel pen. One of them was to add definition into the centre of these. Like so, perhaps. Do I want to do it on the edge? I will. I also think I might pop a little bit of white in the centre here. Lovely thing about using gel pens on top of alcohol markers is they don't pick up the pigments of the alcohol marker, because alcohol markers do not dissolve in water and gel pens are water based. Yeah, I'm just putting some little dots in the black areas, almost like tiny little pearls. I'm using white, but you could use another colour, anything that will show up. So it needs to be something that's an opaque pigment of some kind. And then my flowers I need to do something about, and the backgrounds and the huggins I need to finish. And I may do something about that huggins, but later on. So I don't know which one of these that you particularly like, or if there's any one that you know is your favourite. But, you know, they're ideas, they're things for you to try, or something for you to try if you wish, and just see how you get along with it. It's just a different way of trying things out. And thank you for joining me. It's been a long video. It's 1 hour and 17 minutes. So sorry. I'm so sorry if this is too long for you, but I hope that, you know, you can watch it in sections regardless, can't we? So I'll try and remember everything I said I'd pop into the section underneath. Looking at this is a good chance I'll remember. And I hope to see you again in the next video, which will be tomorrow, which is Saturday. If you're watching this, today's the 10th of June, it's Friday. So fingers crossed, I'll get one for tomorrow. I might spend this afternoon doing it so I can focus on work tomorrow then. So until then, take care and I'll see you soon. Oh, don't forget to be creative. Bye for now. Ta-ra.